they still can't construct something coherent because they're just like, they're the vaguest of vague populism.
Yeah, it's sort of one of those political parties that has no real backing or no real ideals as far as what they're trying to achieve. Kind of like the current Trump administration.
Yeah.
What do you think of the Trump and his deal so far?
He's doing terribly.
Mm-hmm.
He's kind of like, he is. I know people were thinking he would be like really authoritarian, but he's almost demonstrating a total lack of competence.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like he thought that he was going to be king. I really feel like he thought that he was going to be able to go in there, say, Mexico, you're going to pay for that goddamn wall right here, right now. And then Mexico just sort of says, no, I'm not going to do that.
Yeah, the thing is, Trump is used to being a corporate executive.
Where his word is law, basically.
Yeah, he's used to being, and like, you know, you're a CEO especially in the U.S.,
mm-hmm.
You are basically an absolute monarch.
That's ostensibly it. I mean, he's used to having his way.
Yeah. And, like, also the way they treat the presidency in American culture is that they focus on it to the exclusion of most other governments.
Mm-hmm.
Like, even though it's set up that there's a balance of powers, that the president can't do everything.
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's a good thing that the president doesn't have supreme power. It's basically, I mean, I think, like, that's the point of democracy, so everyone, to a certain extent, gets their needs met. That's a good compromise in a nutshell. Not everyone is going to be happy all the time.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, also a lot of countries where you have a really powerful executive, it can go very badly. For example, a lot of Latin American countries,
mm-hmm.
You get the president, he's like, oh, I'm going to rewrite the Constitution.
Yeah. Problem is I feel like if you had a president who, I like the sort of small change over a long time, because if it weren't for that, then the first thing that would have happened is it's just going to be this back and forth pendulum thing.
Yeah.
Trump's going to be in office. First thing, we're going to repeal and replace Obamacare with Trumpcare. We used golden band-aids, and the Mar-a-Lago is going to be turned into a hospital.
Yeah.
But that's not what happens, because I feel like so much less would get done if you could just press a button and make what the other people did moot.
Yeah, it would be a lot of, like, just not much would change. It would just be like, you get into this, like...
Sort of spinning your wheels.
Yeah, it's just in this neutral state where it's like you just keep balancing out what the other side did.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's kind of interesting. I mean, I don't know what it is, but I'm curious why Trump ran as a president. You'd think that he would have found his calling in life as a business owner. The same thing with Ben Carson. You have otherwise successful people who are for some reason running for office, even though you'd think they'd have found their life's calling.
I don't know. I personally think I have no explanation for Ben Carson. I don't know why he does anything.
He was just sleepwalking the entire time.
Yeah, someone was just like, hey, you should run for president. And he was just like, okay. But Trump, I think Trump just needs the attention.
Yeah.
He likes having cameras on him. That's why he does all these stunts. Like that point where he was supporting the death penalty, and he took out a full-page ad in the New York Times about that.
Oh, God. The failing New York Times, as he's deemed them.
Yes.
And every other news organization that isn't Breitbart.
Yeah. But the point is, like, he likes having eyes on him, and he likes people talking about him.
Mm-hmm.
And he's smart enough to know that, like, if he says a bunch of really controversial things, people will talk about him.
Yeah, it's kind of how those things work, but you'd think that there would be other ways. I don't know if he was really intending on winning the presidency.
I kind of don't think he was. I think he was like halfway through when he won the nomination, he just realized, holy shit, this is for real.
That's basically, it's like, oh crap. Oh, I did not think that this was going to happen.
Yeah.
It's like if somebody tries to talk you into starting a small business. You're like, yeah, that'd be a great idea. Then you're a shareholder like, how did I get here?
Yeah, I think there was this guy I heard about who painted, like, he did some paintings and he got paid in shares in Apple. And then he realized, he just was really surprised because he says, I'm really kind of a bit rich now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It is kind of interesting to see what people do. Like, I feel like that should be a documentary series, just giving random people an absurd amount of money and seeing what hijinks they get up to.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, the first thing that happens whenever you give, like, some redneck who wins the lottery is, I'm going to start a skate park for me and all my pals, and WWE is going to be on all days of the week. Gas posted is Sunday, Sunday, Sunday.
I mean, yeah. like you get like yeah, if you just had like some sort of documentary crew that follows around people if they have the lottery, like you set up a lottery, but it has a small print clause that you must allow a documentary crew to follow you for like a certain amount of time after you win.
Yeah, you're not allowed to invest the money in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah, you have to spend it.
You have to spend it frivolously.
Yeah.
It is. It's kind of because there are so many industries that are centered around getting normal people and making them really wealthy, like all of show business.
Yeah.
Like just every comedian, every single musician.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, you like metal? I feel like that's
Yes.
obvious.
Yeah.
Who would you say is your favorite metal band? Because I've always found myself drawn to Metallica the most.
I have find it hard to choose, but the one I started listening to, and the one that will always be like very big for me is Black Sabbath.
Mm-hmm. Some of their songs are fantastic.
Yeah.
It's kind of astonishing that Ozzy Osbourne can hardly speak properly outside of singing a song, but he's really, really good at that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's points where you have like there are the people who can't talk outside singing, and then there are people who can talk but you wish they wouldn't.
Mm-hmm.
Dave Mustaine, for example.
He's from
Megadeth.
Megadeth.
He's kind of a blithering idiot sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's famously dug himself into a hole around saying he was asked what his position on gay marriage was, and he said basically something to the extent of I'm a straight male, so that doesn't really factor in, and I don't really get this gay thing.
I don't really get this gay
and
thing.
each time he tried to respond to people's criticism of it, he dug the hole deeper.
That's fantastic.
And so he became kind of a meme in the metal community. It's just like, Dave Mustaine's an idiot. We wish he'd shut up.
I don't really get this music thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think of Metallica and Lars Ulrich in specific? Because he was basically the main one who prompted this, trying to shut down LimeWire and a bunch of other streaming sites.
Yeah, I don't know that much about that.
Basically, it was like during the mid-2000s, because I was really little. I think that Death Magnetic had just come out. That was in 2008, so I'd have been 7 at the time.
Yeah.
And Lars Ulrich decided he wanted a very large slice of the pie. So he decided that because there were numerous music streaming websites, YouTube had yet to solidify. So anywhere you could stream and download music, and he shut a ton of them down.
Yeah, I was aware of that. I think that's like a bit like you're not gonna succeed if you try that. And also
He's rich enough.
Yeah, like he probably has a lot from record sales back in the 80s and 90s before this took place. Like, you know, I have sympathy for musicians who started in the 2000s and aren't like big pop acts because they probably are struggling to actually make money because people aren't paying for things.
Yeah, they don't. I mean, I think it might have been, I can't remember, it was Jeff the other day in Philosophy was talking about how musicians only ever make money from shows nowadays.
Yeah.
And when you get to a band like Metallica, which is, they're all in their 50s.
Yeah.
Like James Hetfield's an old man. He's 53.
Yeah, and they were active when you could actually make money off record sales, and also they're still an arena-filling act.
Yeah, I mean, in Edmonton they got, like 30,000 people?
Yeah.
There was this fantastic photo. It was James Hetfield. He was performing with Metallica after the Berlin Wall had fallen down, or fallen down, air quotes, it was knocked down. It was 500,000 people.
Yeah.
Which is just a staggering number of people. Like,
yeah.
To give you a frame of reference, Madison Square Garden holds 20,000.
Yeah, it's pretty insane, like that much, when you have that many people there. And so if you can attract huge crowds to your shows, you're making enough money.
Mm-hmm. Like if they were just to get $1 per ticket, that's still going to be 20 grand.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really interesting to see these people and sort of the economy of music and how it's changed over time.
Yeah.
Back when, you used to make the majority of your money by doing records, now it's all performance-based, and there's some merchandise, but not as much.
Yeah.
What are some other metal bands you like? I know you, Iron Maiden, you listen to them?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. What are some of your songs you like from them?
One thing that I really like from that, I really like Fear of the Dark.
I don't think I've listened to that one.
Oh, that one's really good.
Yeah.
It's one of their more progressive songs.
It's kind of funny how they were always getting shit for worshipping, like, Satan and whatnot, despite the fact that a lot of the messages of their songs are seemingly anti-conflict.
Yeah, like, a lot of their songs, they have very few songs about, like, Satan or horror themes.
It's about war for the most part, but, I mean, Trooper, Passchendaele, Aces High, 2 Minutes to Midnight to a certain extent.
Yeah.
I listened to that song so much after they shifted that Doomsday Clock 2 Minutes to Midnight after.
Yeah.
I didn't know what it meant previous to that, just
Yeah.
because of Cape Town and their water shortages.
Yeah, it's about, like the whole, like, a lot of their songs are about, like, history-based, or they're based on something more fantasy or sci-fi oriented.
Like Speed of Light and, not really Wasted Years, but...
Yeah, but, like, there's some of that gets in there. One of their albums, I think it's Seventh Son of a Seventh Son, is a concept album based on the fact that it's very vague, and I haven't listened to the whole thing, so I don't know how it all fits together, but it's basically about, like, some kid with magic, with special abilities, having to choose between good and evil.
Yeah.
It's pretty vague.
They do a lot of, I don't know what it is, but they just sort of, it seems like every band has a theme for their song, and in Metallica, it's always going to be James Hetfield saying yeah over and over again.
Yeah.
There's just so many compilations of all of his songs where he says, yeah!
Yeah.
Yeah. But they do a lot of songs centered around conflict, but at no point did I ever get the feeling that it was, in some way, shape, or form, endorsing it. I mean, you sort of have to use that, like, hardcore, we're a badass imagery for a metal band, but only to a certain extent.
Yeah.
Like, their logo, that Iron Maiden, like, I don't know what you call it,
font?
decaying corpse, and the font. They've put it on every album cover, and some of them are kind of silly. Like the Sphinx.
The Sphinx one, I actually like that, but Eddie, the corpse is called Eddie.
Eddie?
Yeah.
Oh, God. Yeah, but some of them, I quite like the sort of old edgelord metal imagery. Something about it will always just appeal to me.
Yeah, it's like, it doesn't try, it, like, both tries too hard and yet doesn't.
Sort of, it's at that middle ground where it's trying, but it's taking itself so seriously that it becomes sort of funny.
Yeah. Yeah, the term with that would be campy.
Campy. Yeah, it's just sort of campy and silly. Metallica, they don't really do that as much because their symbol isn't something like Eddie, it's just an insignia.
Yeah.
Do they have one for Black Sabbath?
They don't really have a symbol for Black Sabbath. I've seen this sort of, like, stylized, like, fallen angel thing in some of their logos, but not really.
Yeah.
I mean, like, if you want campy, one 80s metal band, they're not as well known, but they were ridiculous. It was Manowar.
Manowar. Oh, right. That's, I've heard of that band before. Isn't it, like, Norwegian or something?
No, they're American.
They're
from, like, New Jersey.
Oh, they're incredibly popular in, like, Germany, Poland, and
yeah. They're one of those bands that are from, like, North America, but are really popular in Europe.
Yeah, they probably speak with an accent at this point just to keep up that jig.
Yeah.
It's like the comedians who pretend they're from the hood, but it's like, no, I grew up in New Jersey.
Yeah, like Manowar, they have this totally serious demeanor of being, it's all about fantasy and battles and being badass. And, like, their motto was, other bands play, Manowar kills. But the best part of it was, one of the best parts of their persona was that they, with no hint of irony and no self-consciousness, wore they were like half naked and wore like these Conan the Barbarian outfits. And there's this great image of them, and it's like, is this a metal band, or were they shooting the gay porn parody of Conan? In fact, some
of it is just ridiculous, like the get-ups that all the members of Twisted Sister would wear.
Yeah.
The main singer, he's got this hair that makes him look like Medusa.
Yeah.
And he's wearing a pink and black gimp suit. It's just...
I have not seen... Yeah, I have, like, with Dee Snider, like, it's just like, if you made an instructional video for drag queens, it would be just a picture of him. He's like, this is what you don't do.
There's this fantastic picture. How do you spell it? S-C-H-N-I-D-E-R. Dee Snider...
Actually, D is D-E-E.
There's this photo, it's comparing him to Dee Snider.
Yeah.
Yeah, he looks like, he looks a little insane. Age has not treated him well.
Yeah.
I think it was in, damn it.
Comparing him to Immortan Joe from
Mad Max. He looks like Mad Max. He looks like a Morton Joe from Fury Road. They should have had him as the guitar guy wearing the onesie.
Yeah.
That would have been a terrific Easter egg. It's like, that's Dee Snider right there.
That's Dee Snider right there, yeah.
You mentioned him being old earlier. It's kind of amusing. You know how Slash, he would always wear that silly-ass top hat, those dumb glasses that made him look like he was a blind person, and his chains and whatnot? He has to wear a tank top at all the concerts.
Yeah.
Age has not treated him well.
Yeah.
He's starting to get a little loose and saggy.
Yeah.
He looks like a deflated balloon.
I haven't seen that much of him, but I guess, yeah.
I'm curious how long Axl Rose is going to keep living.
I don't know.
He's not healthy.
Yeah.
Like, he showed up, my brother, Anthony, he went to a concert of theirs in Vancouver. Might have been like 2010 or 11. It took him like an hour and a half to show up on stage.
Yeah.
It got to the point where people were considering going up on stage and just saying, like, doing almost like a stand-up routine to the audience.
Yeah. It's like, Axl Rose has been arriving really late for shows for a while now. There was that time he was like, I'm going to release an album. No, wait, I'm going to release an album. And he does release the album, but it's 15 years later.
Yep. Yeah, didn't they, like, have some sort of a falling out breakup type thing during the mid-2000s?
I think at least once.
Yeah, I mean, you can't blame them. Axl Rose is just a full-on alkie.
Yeah, and he's like a nightmare to work with, I've heard.
Yeah.
And he fired Slash and replaced him with a man named Buckethead, who wears a bucket on his head, and he wears a white mask, and he's actually a very talented guitar player, but he's called Buckethead.
Buckethead, he wears like an upturned KFC thing on his head.
He actually does.
He's got like an upside-down Colonel Sanders on his head, like an idiot.
Yeah. I don't know why he chose that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, metal's always been getting the short end of the stick in terms of its sort of appeal in media.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was, like, even Queen, a band that was, like, the lead singer and several other members of the band were all gay, got way less shit than metal. That was considered less satanic than, you know, Dee Snider dressing up like an idiot.
Yeah, it's like Queen, I don't know about the other members, but Freddie Mercury was probably bisexual.
He was. He left a lot of his... He got married at one point, or maybe he was in a long-term relationship with a woman, which might have just been a cover, but it's... Seeing as he left all of his earnings and everything to her, it seems pretty obvious that he had genuine affections towards her.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. He just seemed to like men more.
Yeah.
Yeah, Freddie Mercury, it was surprising to me that he was a classically trained opera singer.
Yeah.
He wasn't like, he was trained as an opera singer and then ended up doing Queen, but he was an incredible singer.
Yeah.
It's one of those people where you just see that they're clearly head and shoulders above everyone else in terms of their abilities. Like I think Kirk Emmett might fall under that umbrella, the guitarist of Metallica.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, there are some mediocre people, like Lars Ulrich never really stood out to me.
Yeah, Lars Ulrich was not the best, like, metal drummer out there. He worked for the band. He was technically capable enough, but he wasn't, like, the best.
They liked him is the main reason they kept him around.
Yeah.
He was friends with James Hetfield.
Yeah.
I mean, there was also, because not a lot of metal merchandise centers around the people themselves.
No.
Something that I find sets it apart is because a lot of metal singers are real funny looking.
Yeah, like a lot, well, in other kinds of, like, pop music, there's more of this sort of, like, cult of personality almost around, like, the singer, which you almost have, like, you have something like Beyonce. That is a religion, basically.
Pretty much. People are absurd with it. 7 single ladies, if you wanted it, buy a ring.
Yeah.
And then you have the metal band where I bet all of Iron Maiden's merchandise is just album covers. I missed days with cool album covers.
Yeah, like, there's some bands that still have cool album covers. Like, I was looking at this really obscure death metal band today. They were called, I think, Gruesome, and they're based on, like, their album cover was really awesome looking. It had, like, a sort of decayed, hooded cultist guy holding what was basically the Necronomicon.
Yeah.
While a big-ass portal with a tentacle monster coming out of it.
So kind of got that, like, H.P. Lovecraft imagery type thing.
Yeah, and they were it very much, like, was based on, artistically, the old Death album covers, which were pretty great, because they were one of the early death metal bands. They were from Florida. Interestingly, there's a whole metal scene in the southern U.S. that's, like...
It's surprising. You always associate them with ring dancing, but metal's pretty common there.
Yeah, like even in Florida especially, it gets
Mhm.
associated with like rappers and like the spring break stuff.
Yeah, Florida's always been kind of a party town, so really there's no shortage of weird different cultures in Florida.
Yeah,
Florida's a weird place. Like, you ever heard of hurricane parties?
no.
They'll just have hurricane parties. There's a hurricane, they'll stand outside having a party while getting soaking wet, and all their drinks are now extra watered down.
Yeah, it's just I don't know. I don't get Florida. Actually, yesterday I heard that a Florida teacher
Mm-hmm.
who was really being overtly racist, like he was calling black students the N-word. And he was telling, like, just generally, some general advice for the female students is don't date black guys.
That seems tasteless.
That seems, yeah, you'd think he'd get dealt with pretty harshly, but he got a 10-day suspension.
Oh, God. Well, they're short for teachers. All the other ones are on administrative leave doing blow.
I guess so, yeah.
So we've got the member of the KKK or this cokehead who just was doing blow. Like, this isn't chalk, believe it or not. When I smack these erasers together, I get a little high.
Yeah, it's just like, why would you keep that guy around?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What was it? Was it the Florida legislation that made it? Maybe it would have been in the UK. There was some new bill passed making it so that ISPs can no longer host certain types of porn on their websites.
Yeah. So in the UK,
mm-hmm.
they want you to ask for age confirmation for porn sites.
All age confirmation is subtracting 18 from the current year.
Yeah.
You think every website does that? I've been born in the 90s, in the 80s, in the 2000s.
Yeah, it's like they do that on Steam, where it's like some mature rated game. They're like, you must be 18 plus to see this. This contains the following tags. Confirm your birth year, and it's like, okay, I was born in 1998.
It's really easy in the 2000s, especially. Like,
yeah.
What year am I? The 2000.
1990 something. I'm like born in 2000, so it's just like, oh, go 1999 just to be sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they do that. I think it was what's that thing called? Fitness Pal? That app that I got because I need to lose weight because I look like a burrito.
I mean, like, Fitness Pal. I've not heard of that.
Fitness Pal. Basically, it just asks you. It's pretty useless so far. It's just a calorie tracker. Like, that's it. I feel like the key to fitness is just consume a known amount of calories every day and burn a known amount of calories every day.
Yeah, like there was this app I tried. That was like about how much you should eat based on what kind of food it is, and like how much it counted like how much calories you were burning while walking, which seems more useful than just a calorie counter or like a pedometer.
Yeah, it's a pedometer. It's basically just the gist of it. There are so many. I feel like people use caloric inconsistencies and, like, oh, I have a slow metabolism as a justification for excessive weight or being excessively large, but having a fast metabolism is not going to increase it by, like, a margin of 10 or something.
Yeah, like, having a fast or slow metabolism, like, it does affect things, I think. Like, I, for example, eat a fair amount. I've had to increase the amount I eat, like, to get like healthy weight gain.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, it's not fun. You have to like have a fair amount.
You have to like muscle it down, and you're always eating those gross foods like protein cookies and whatnot.
No, I've had stuff that is like acceptable tasting. Luckily enough, like it's mostly stuff that involves like just putting a bit of coconut milk into something.
Yeah, just putting something with fat into food so you can get a bunch of calories. But I mean. Me having a slow metabolism really isn't the reason that I'm fat. It's because I don't move enough. I've never met a skinny person who's sedentary, completely sedentary.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, it's one of those things. What are your political opinions on like fat shaming?
Personally, I think that it's not a great idea. I think that if you're overweight to the point that it's a danger to your health, you should obviously lose weight. But I think shit-talking someone isn't going to motivate them.
I mean, as funny as I find it to be, like, there was this subreddit, you ever heard of it, r/fat people hate?
Nope.
It was shut down. It was one of the first subreddits to be taken down. Then people started pointing out the other subreddits that are just absurd, like r/jailbait.
Yeah.
it was just, or cute corpses or something like that. There
Yeah.
is some revolting subreddits. I mean, there's
Yeah.
one, it's incredibly popular, called Watch People Die.
Yeah, that's no. Yeah.
But they took down the fat-shaming one because they were getting some bad optics, and when you consider the user base of Reddit, it was a lot of people getting sort of ornery.
Yeah.
But I feel like good diet advice probably does infinitely more to get somebody to lose weight than saying, you're fat, you look like a butter golem.
Yeah. Like, you see some people who are especially, like, I think it was, like, Milo Yiannopoulos made a big stink about, like, how, oh, fat shaming's good for overweight people. It's like, no, it isn't. Insulting someone has never motivated them.
No,
Unless you're, like, even, like, you have, like, the sergeant stereotype in, like, the army. That stuff isn't allowed now.
it doesn't work.
Yeah.
It doesn't do anything. The soldiers just end up getting traumatized.
Yeah, the soldiers just end up getting traumatized or really pissed off.
Yeah, I mean, Milo Yiannopoulos, he's so dense. He's thick as mud.
Yes.
He's kind of like Trump to a certain extent. I can see why he likes him. He's incredibly charismatic. Like, there's no denying that. He can work a crowd just incredibly well. The things he says are absurd, like criminalize Black Lives Matter.
Yeah, it's like I stand for freedom, but I want to ban a largely peaceful political movement.
Even if it isn't largely peaceful, there's still freedom of association covered by the Constitution.
Yeah.
Or a niqab ban, like freedom of expression.
Yeah, it's like, and the niqab bans are kind of absurd. I've seen, like, people in France, there's this, like, trend in a lot of French feminism to ban niqabs, and sort of a current of, like,
and yeah, people who just wear wetsuits, everyone's giving them crap. It's like, I'm a diver.
Yeah, and it's just like,
I was diving for scallops.
The idea that it's like, well, we're going to liberate women from these people who are telling them what to wear by telling them what to wear.
We're not telling them what to wear, we're telling them what they can't wear.
Yeah, it's
like, wear whatever you damn well please. Like, it's none of my concern. If somebody wears a niqab, it's none of my business.
Yeah, also, like, even if you do, like, take, for the sake of argument, the assumption that niqabs are, like, that they're, like, a woman who's wearing a niqab, random woman, is, being forced by her family for religious reasons to wear it.
Yeah.
Banning the niqabs aren't going to do anything. If she's that under that, like, direct control of her family...
Making it illegal isn't exactly going to do anything.
Yeah, they're still going to have control over her.
Yeah.
But if you cared about, like, people in that
you have to consider what constitutes a niqab.
Yeah.
Because there are plenty of people who dress like they're wearing a niqab because they live in Alberta and it's freezing out.
Yeah, like, and also, if somebody's, like, in that situation where they're really under the thumb of their family, if you really want to help them, you should make it easier for them to get help.
Yeah. I mean, I don't really see the problem with wearing niqabs. I'm not religious and I don't much care for religion, but wear whatever you want. Like,
yeah.
What was that guy's name? It wasn't Milo. You ever heard of Gavin McInnes?
Oh, that guy! That guy from Rebel Media.
He's Rebel Media. It's the closest thing that the far right has to actual journalism.
Yeah.
It's absurd. He just says whatever pops into his mouth. And one of his things, he said that women shouldn't vote. And then, as his example, he cited the fact that we let women vote and they elected Trudeau. But
what?
Women make up 60% of the voting base. There's another 40% you're not thinking of. If I were to cut off 40% of someone's body, they'd die.
Yeah, it's like...
That's a considerable margin.
Yeah, there's a bunch of, like, men making, like, weird assumptions about how, like, women voting is going to affect things. It's a long tradition. In fact, I think it was in one of the 1920s elections, one of the Republican, like, candidates who ended up winning and becoming president during the boom years of the 20s when they ran everything, he was nominated partly because some stuffy old guys in the caucuses thought he was attractive, so he would appeal to the female electorate. Because they don't understand.
So that was his argument, is the only reason Trudeau was elected because he was a hunk. No, he's a good speaker. He's the son of Pierre Trudeau.
Yeah.
The other candidates were horrific.
Yeah, Tom Mulcair is like... He's Tom Mulcair, and Stephen Harper is like, he's kind of like a dead fish.
He is. He looks like one, too.
Yeah, he just has those cold alien eyes.
You know, one of my favorite television shows is Breaking Bad.
Oh, yeah.
Remember what happened to that one guy in Breaking Bad who got his throat slashed?
His attempts
Vote for me, that might happen.
His attempts to seem, like, human, like, are so awkward, and Tom Mulcair, there was this bit on This Hour is 22 Minutes where Tom Mulcair tries to ape Bernie Sanders, and it's hilarious.
Tries to eat Bernie Sanders.
No, ape. Like, he wants to replicate his style to become more like of a socialist, and so he ends up slipping into like a Vermont accent.
He just gives himself male pattern baldness and dyes his hair white. He gets like a Doc Brown costume.
Yeah, it's just like...
The candidates in this election were so bad. I mean, Jack Layton, I feel like if he were still alive, because that was pretty much the main reason he lost the 2011 election is because he died of prostate cancer.
Yeah, like, it's just, like, Layton was a good, he wasn't perfect, but he was a good leader.
He was better than the other two candidates. That's the unfortunate state of affairs, is you rarely have multiple candidates from any given party that have an actual chance. Like in the 2015 election, there were only a couple candidates that actually had a chance.
Yeah.
Trudeau, Harper, and Mulcair. The last two arguably were kind of, I mean, they got steamrolled.
Yeah, like, you're talking about, like, the Bloc Québécois and the Green Party. The Bloc doesn't run candidates outside Quebec, and they only become successful when independence is a question.
Yeah.
Yeah, if somebody's like, we're going to have a referendum, then they get lots of votes. If it's like, okay, we had a referendum and we didn't get independence, okay, guys, they just lose a bunch of seats. They lose all their seats then.
Yeah. But it is kind of unfortunate that usually each party picks one candidate. I feel like, I don't know what the idea of the Green Party picking Tom Mulcair was. Like, it seems to me that Jack Layton was their guy, he was their shoo-in, and then he died.
Yeah, I mean, like, I think, wait, you said Green Party, I think you meant NDP.
NDP. Who did the Green Party run?
Elizabeth May.
Oh, right. I think Jeff calls her lizard breath.
Yeah, he tried to make that a thing. It's not really happening.
It's like Drumpf, you know? Donald Drumpf, when that might have been Trump's original last name.
Yeah, it's...
His, like, dad's original surname.
Yeah, people tried way too hard to make that happen.
They did. It's just sad. Donald, I feel bad for the people with the name Donald. Like, the same thing with Weinstein.
Yeah.
That's a very common Jewish surname.
Yeah.
It's like, just, they've ruined that last name. There wasn't that many people with the name Hitler. I mean, almost all of his siblings had died in childbirth. There's actually a really good Roald Dahl book about that.
Yeah, there's even, there was a town in, like, the Midwest somewhere in the U.S. that I heard about where one of the prominent families that helped build it were the Hitler family.
Mm-hmm.
And there were like a street called Hitler Street or something like that, and it was just like, it was very unfortunate after World War II. People
they ruined that last name, but at the very least, he didn't have any siblings because they all died in childbirth. There was a really good, the Roald Dahl book I mentioned, where it spends the entire book, it covers a woman's, like more of a novella, really, covers this woman's childbirth and how she really wants this one to live because his other past two siblings were both stillborn.
Yeah.
And you end up rooting for the baby, and you're happy when it survives. And then you realize at the end of the book that it was Hitler.
Yeah.
This German baby whose siblings died during childbirth were Hitler's brothers and sisters.
Yeah. And also, speaking of ruining the name Donald, so my grandfather is named Donald. Mm-hmm. He's an, older guy.
It was a common name back then.
Yeah. And, he also sometimes says huge.
Huge?
Yes.
Isn't that...
Yes, that's something like Donald Trump.
Oh, right.
So, and then my dad gives him, crap for that occasionally. It's just
I think Seth MacFarlane, they were doing a roast of Donald Trump. This was before he was running for office.
Yeah.
And then I think it was Seth MacFarlane who goes, Trump, it's spelled huge, not huge.
Yeah.
And there's one other guy, I think his name's Jeff something or other, he was like, Donald and I have a lot in common. We're both successful, we both look disgusting, and we both want to have sex with Ivanka Trump.
Yeah, that's,
Some of those roasts are just fantastic. Do you ever watch, stand-up comedy or anything?
I watch a bit of stand-up comedy. I tried watching some Netflix specials recently, so I tried watching, the Dave Chappelle Netflix special. Didn't like it that much, partly because he was vaping. He was vaping during that entire goddamn thing. He has a funny bit about that, where somebody asked him if they can take a hit from his vape. Yeah. And then he ends up sorry, I'm 42 years old. I don't want to get herpes. Yeah, the thing is, for me, because of the weird way my brain works, sometimes I see things and I, have a bit of a smell. When I see vaping... And he's a weed vape. That's just the worst smell. When I see him vaping, I sort of partly remember the smell of vape, and I hate the smell of vape, so I can't watch it. Also, I just didn't find it that funny. And
Yeah,
so also,
some of his bits were okay, like the one about the Mormon family and how he was so impressed
that was kind of fun. That was
his
pretty
white friends can sit in the living room and not have to wear their winter coats.
Yeah.
It's the end of it that bit is kind of a sort of realization that he's not like some thug badass. He grew up in Washington.
Yeah, and like I mean, the least favorite thing about that was like I find bits by comedians about how everybody's so sensitive kind of eye-rolling, because for me it's like cry me a river, like
They've
somebody didn't find your
existed
joke funny.
especially when they're performing in front of a crowd of several thousand people. It's like, clearly people just hate your humor. Like, Chris Rock is one of the most successful comedians of all time. If you're including his stand-up, he beats out Jerry Seinfeld for the most successful comics, because Jerry Seinfeld, most of his money comes from royalties from Seinfeld.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Chris Rock has done dozens of specials, and he's like 53 now, and he's been doing it since I think about it in his 20s in terms of performing.
Yeah.
People clearly are not that they don't object to what he's saying. You're not that successful if, people find what you're saying horrific. Like, Jim Jeffries had a good bit about how he made a bunch of jokes about Bill Cosby being a rapist.
Yeah.
He's gotten way more hate mail from people who are pro-gun, because he had a bit about gun control.
Yeah.
And he only got 7 pieces of hate mail for everything he said about religion.
Yeah, people don't make sense. That's the thing. Like,
I get so offended. Like, I guarantee you I could offend more people if I were to say Jesus isn't real, and if you disagree, you're an idiot. I'd piss off more people just by calling football soccer.
Yeah.
Like, if I were to go into a British pub and just say, man, I love soccer.
Yeah.
Don't you just love soccer? That one Brazilian team and the English guy, or maybe just call them, like, the Irish team.
The Irish team, yeah.
I would piss them off way more than if I were to, like, kick a baby.
Yeah, I mean, best way to do that, walk into somewhere in Scotland and say, wow, I sure love being here in England.
You're just gonna get stabbed.
Yeah, it's just like, you're dead now.
Yeah, or maybe Ireland. I don't find beer that good tasting.
Yeah. Yeah, actually, I remember when I mentioned Dave Mustaine, he was in, like, when Megadeth was in tour in Northern Ireland, this reminded me, he accidentally started a sectarian riot in his show. Like, he used a motto he'd heard. I don't remember what it was, but I think it was one of the sides. It was either, like, the Protestant Unionists or the Catholic Republicans.
Mm-hmm.
And this was during the Troubles, and he said it on stage, and then everybody started kicking the shit out of each other.
Oh, God. It's like that normal, like, testosterone-fueled metal concert where everyone's just, like, waiting for a mosh pit.
Yeah. And it's just like, the band had to travel in a bulletproof van for the rest of the tour in Northern Ireland. The Troubles were bad.
I think there's a drink that you will get kicked out of just about any bar if you order in Ireland.
If you order the Black and Tan.
Black and Tan.
Because the Black and Tans were a Protestant group who used to, like, basically harass and sometimes kill Catholics.
Mm.
They were cops, actually.
Oh.
They were part of the Belfast police force, like the Northern Irish police force, and they were absolutely brutal if you were Catholic.
Yeah, which is funny, because there's a drink you can order there called an Irish car bomb.
Wow, yeah.
I saw this one clip from the show, It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. You might have heard of it. And one of the characters is like, all right, sake bomb. No. Jaeger bomb. Or not Jaeger bomb. Jaeger bomb. No. Irish car bomb. Quit ordering bombs. They're going to think we're a terrorist.
Oh, that's great. I remember the only clip I've seen from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia is there's a YouTuber I watch who does a lot of political stuff. And
which YouTuber is this?
She's called ContraPoints.
Oh, yeah, I've heard of her.
I like her content. It's very good. It's political, but it's very funny and it's very absurdist.
Mm-hmm.
And it has like this really kind of weird, out there, often decidedly not kind of NSFW style of humor.
Mm-hmm.
And she uses a clip from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia to argue about freedom of speech.
What clip was this?
And the clip is about making the most American bar in all of America. So, like, about, absolute freedom. Specifically, they start a bar, and they want everything goes. It's all about freedom. And, but specifically, these two guys, like, I don't remember, because I don't really watch the show.
One of them kind of got his hair slicked back.
I think so. I think like with these two guys,
Yeah,
their desire, like they want like college co-eds to come and go topless. But what happens?
They're all in their 40s.
Yeah. What happens is some like Vietnamese thugs start frequenting the bar, and like milk drinking rednecks started, and so like it just ruins their plan.
That's what. Yeah, there was a group of Frank. He's played by Danny DeVito. He's real short because he's played by Danny DeVito.
Yeah.
Has sort of this Bernie Sanders hair,
Mm-hmm.
and a bunch of his Vietnamese friends. And he's implying that he was like I met him when I went to Nam. And then his son goes, "You didn't serve in the Vietnam War." And then, or no, one of them characters asked him, "You served in the Vietnam War?" And then the other guy goes, "No, he didn't. He went to Vietnam to open a sweatshop in the 90s.
Oh, yeah.
And they're his old sweatshop buddies.
Wow, yeah. But like the point is, like, everybody has a different expectation of what like absolute freedom is.
They do that all the time to cover controversial political issues. Like you have one episode, this was in 2013, not long after Sandy Hook. Basically, They were like, we're going to be the armed security guard. So these two guys show up in jean jackets with bandanas on. One of them has a sword. The other one has a 5-shot little pea shooter 38 revolver.
Yeah.
And now they want to become the armed security guards. They end up just shaking down this random kid who's wearing a black hoodie.
Yeah, that's pretty accurate.
And the other ones want to buy a gun, and they're talking about how more guns equals less safety, and they end it by pretending they're going to shoot up a gun store. But they can't get the guns because they've all been incarcerated at some point or another. Like, one of them was a crackhead.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's...
Who was arrested for fraud.
Yeah. Like, one of the things, an example I also learned from that ContraPoints video is apparently, 4chan, that, lauded for letting anything happen, has rules. The channel, I can't remember, I think it's B, it's like the channel, or Paul, the one that's kind of infested by Nazis.
Paul Joseph Watson?
No, Paul, backslash, POL backslash, the 4chan
I don't actually go on 4chan that much.
I don't either. But I've only heard of it because it's kind of notorious.
4chan's a weird anything goes kind of place.
Yeah, it's anything goes, but on Paul, which is infested by a lot of racists and Nazis, you can't post anything about My Little Pony. And that's the one rule. And so, racism, the rule is, racism goes in, Paul, and then My Little Pony doesn't go in Paul. So it's really weird.
Oh, God, 4chan is such a strange website.
Yeah.
It's one of those things, it's sort of the untamed section of the internet. It's kind of like Reddit to a certain extent, but Reddit started getting more advertisers, so they had to police it to it. It's mostly up to the moderators on Reddit, but the problem is there are some people who are just dedicated to moderating a specific subreddit.
Yeah.
It's good, because when you consider every subreddit has a moderator, so just about every post is seen by at least someone.
Yeah. Moderators are good, but they're a bit of a crapshoot because it depends on who the moderator is.
Yeah, one of the good things about Reddit is the reason that I'm confused as to why YouTube can't just hire people to look at their content, but it kind of makes sense because it takes 30 seconds to look at a post on Reddit, even if it's one of the longer ones, it's a paragraph or so.
Yeah.
It takes 30 seconds to go through it. And in YouTube, you're going to have to... I feel like it'd be easier if everyone just had a person assigned to their channel.
Yeah.
If you have a certain subscriber count, in other words, are eligible for YouTube, YouTube monetization, and you upload on a regular basis, you just have an employee assigned to monitor your stuff.
That would work. It would require hiring more people, but I'm sure it doesn't require that many qualifications to be hey, I'm just going to watch all of PewDiePie's videos and see if he does something that violates YouTube's rules. Yeah,
YouTube, I feel like they're talking about their algorithm and how the algorithm is learning and, we're having some troubles with the algorithm. It's just a YouTube buzzword for whenever one of YouTube's software thing, anything under that umbrella screws up. It's that's not the algorithm. Yeah. They're just unsubscribing from you.
Yeah, it's all about the algorithm. Because, also, I'm on, a sort of vaguely politics and history Discord, and it's some people there were complaining. So some people, because they're into history, they're into historical firearms.
Yeah.
and some firearms in general. So they watch these like videos on obscure guns, but then they get suggested like Steven Crowder and all those guys like Crowder and Dennis Shapiro.
Oh god, Crowder is a douche. He's a snarky asshole, and he's not even a conservative. Like conservatives are supposed to be in favor of small government. He doesn't. He used to believe in the prohibition of marijuana and said anyone who smokes weed is an idiot on his website. He got into an argument with Joe Rogan, who loves pot. That dude loves pot as much as he loves his kids. He just is a total stoner pothead. He's not even a stoner because he's a very successful comic and he just smokes a lot of weed.
Yeah.
And I think it was Steve Crowder was trying to defend his writer who mentioned something about like all pot smokers being idiots.
Yeah.
And then he said, "Who's this lady who wrote this?" And he's like, "Oh, she's an employee of mine, one of the best writers I've ever had." And he goes, "Well, shame on you for not reading."
And
he's so smarmy.
Yeah, and like the only thing I've seen Steven Crowder is when he was talking about climate science, and he compared like climate scientists wanting to get involved and push environmental protections to Nazis.
Mm-hmm. He always misuses that clip of Bill Nye arguing that the original clip was, do you think that people who intentionally obfuscate facts around climate change should be susceptible to some sort of punishment similar to the big tobacco CEOs who obfuscated the fact that chain smoking gives you lung cancer?
Yeah.
He said maybe. He replays that clip and makes it seem as though if you don't believe in climate change, you should be jailed.
Yeah.
He said maybe about people who are intentionally spreading misinformation.
Yeah, those I've seen
And he just got his ass handed to him by this guy, Potholer54, in several videos. They were going to do a debate, then Steven Crowder ducked out because there was like a time zone difference because the guy's Australian, so it's like a 12-hour difference.
Yeah, it's it's truly embarrassing to be intellectually defeated by somebody called Potholer54.
The arguments he were making were just so bad. Like, he points to polar bears and how, hey, the polar bear, they're overpopulated. It's because they have less of a land mass.
Yeah.
And it's because the ice is melting.
Yeah.
And the polar bears use the melting ice to hunt for food.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, I remember, that reminds me, yesterday, I don't know if you saw this, but one of the people we go here with, he wanted to set up a booth at UVic.
Mm-hmm.
Steven Crowder.
He does that change my mind bullshit.
Change my mind. But this guy wanted to set up there's only two genders. Change my mind.
You're not going to change your mind. I don't care what people have this opinion that any amount of a persuasive argument can change someone's mind. We're very stubborn creatures, humans.
Yeah.
We don't really get our mind changed. If your mind can be changed just by somebody going, hey, there's 3 genders. Gender is in the brain.
Yeah.
You weren't that vehement on your opinion in the first place.
Yeah.
And Ben Shapiro, he's so smarmy. I like some of the stuff that he does, but religion specifically and the fact that he's an Orthodox Jew and for somebody who graduated from Harvard, he makes bad arguments when it comes to religion. He defended somebody telling their kid that if they sin, they're going to burn in hell forever by saying, no, it's okay because this person genuinely believes that. It's not okay to tell your kid that black people are inferior, even if you genuinely believe it.
Yeah, it's not there are some things you cannot, you should not do.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just you may genuinely believe that, but that's
But even if you genuinely believe it, it shouldn't change the fact that you recognize that it's an opinion.
Yes.
My mom has always told me things that are her opinions.
Yeah.
And she prefaces them by saying they're her opinions. This person isn't doing that. And some of the stuff he does on abortion, which you have to be, I mean, I can get not liking abortion, but to think that prohibition of abortion is a good idea is absurd. You're just going to have people going from safe medical clinics to a guy named Steve who dropped out of medical school with a box cutter.
Yeah, before, when abortion was banned in the U.S., it was just all mob doctors doing it.
Yep.
And they often had rejected medical licenses, so they fucked up.
Yeah, it was like comparing a drug dealer to a doctor.
Yeah.
Or a chemist to a meth head.
Yeah, it's
Who's
like
making some weird shit, like a plastic bottle looks like it's gonna explode.
and like personally on abortion, I'm not like yay abortions. I don't think anybody is.
Mhm.
But I like support the right to have one, and like honestly, if you want like to reduce the number of them, which wanting to actually reduce the number of them is a position I can respect.
Yeah.
If you don't like think it's if you
That's the
don't
thing, he doesn't seem to want to. I mean, I can understand. I mean, there are plenty of people who want to reduce the number of abortions, but you'd think that someone who's vehemently religious, and I don't think he supports contraception as a part of insurance,
right.
which I think you should have that fall under that umbrella as sort of employee healthcare coverage. Contraception, at least some forms of contraception should be included, like birth control.
Yeah.
Yeah, or Steven Crowder, how he seems to think that the key to a successful marriage is abstinence. You guys
Sure.
ever debate argument thing with Amy Schumer, seemingly unaware that a lot of people who try abstinence fail.
Yeah.
Because we're human beings and we want to have sex.
Yeah, it's like no matter how much you yell at teenagers that they're like dirty sluts if they have sex once, like they're gonna do it. And it's been proven again and again and again and again.
We're human beings, we're animals.
Yeah,
there's 7 billion of us. We got that large of a number because our ancestors were really horny.
Yeah, and like if you want to reduce the number of abortions, the things you can do are it'll be reduced with sex ed, contraception, and supporting people giving birth.
Yeah, I mean most people. I just posted this essay I did about 2 years ago now. I guess it would be.
Yeah.
No, that would have been about a year and a half ago about abortion and like basically debunking pro-life arguments. And one of them was, I can't remember what it was, but he was talking about how, most people only get abortions because of convenience and cost. Yeah, they don't have $50,000 to spare, which is how much it costs to have a baby if you don't have insurance.
Yeah, I thought it was like $22,000, but it's a lot. It's an insane amount.
And insurance companies won't give you prenatal care if you're already pregnant.
What?
Because it's a pre-existing condition, if you consider it a condition. Because, it's like getting insurance while your house is on fire.
Yeah.
It's a bit late for that. You can't, as Fat Lady is already saying.
Yeah, you'd think.
Inconvenience. You mean how if you have any sort of a job that requires any amount of physical labor, it becomes incredibly difficult? Like, pregnant ladies, when they get to, like, the third trimester, they're basically handicapped.
Yeah, I guess so. But, like, also, the thing is, like, you'd think, like, if you wanted, like, a good way to, reduce abortions, would be, and a direct way to do it, would be to, promote policies that subsidize the costs of hospital births.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you wanted to, like, if you could...
Make it less expensive. They also talk about adoption a lot. Like, most people want to adopt a healthy child, a healthy baby that looks a bit like them.
Yeah.
So the problem is that it took, like my brother's adopted, it took us, he was in foster care with us since he was about 5.
Yeah.
And we got done adopting him when he was 12.
Yeah.
It takes a while.
It takes a while, and like you want like a healthy child, obviously.
And there's so many that aren't.
Yeah, and like what you could do, like you would think, if you were say part of like the American Christian movement and you wanted to like produce abortions, you could like say like, oh, we want like some subsidization for hospital births and then encourage adoption as an alternative.
Mm-hmm.
But like a lot of the Christian right they're connected at the hip to the Tea Party and libertarians because they're all Republicans, so they can't like ask for a subsidization of these
government
things.
Subsidies. It's like you have these two conflicting views. It's like I don't know which one to pick. Do I admit that sometimes a government subsidy can be a good thing?
Yeah, like there's a reason outside the U.S. where like the reason like the Christian right and the economic new right sort of came together, like, and tried to just become one abomination in the U.S. is because of the Cold War, but also because of racial issues. Like, evangelicals only became politicized because of desegregation.
Yeah.
And, like, so you have, like, in other countries, especially, like, in the 20th century, there were, like, you typically weren't fiscally right-wing if you were Christian.
Pretty much, you were considered, you would give all your money to the people who needed it.
Yeah, like, if you ever heard of J.S. Woodsworth?
I think their name rings a bell, but I wouldn't be
he founded the CCF, who were the predecessors to the NDP.
Mhm.
He was he was a former minister,
Mhm.
and then he became an MP, and like he basically became